Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video here at tablemon. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to be taking a look at the Ancient Box deck that Gabriel Fernandez used to win EUIC in the senior division. Now, Gabriel has been on an absolute tear. He's the current senior world champion, LAIC champion, and now EUIC champion. So can he actually become the NAIC champion in a couple of months and basically win every single major tournament in a single season, or even become the back-to-back senior world champion? That would be quite the feat. But let's focus on this deck list, which is extremely balanced, extremely consistent, has pretty much 4 of the most important and crucial cards: 4 Koraidon, 4 Flutter Mane, and 4 Roaring Moon, which are of course the big focus of the deck, which allow you to do extra damage for every ancient card you end up having in your discard pile. Explorer's Guidance and Professor Sada's Vitality help round out the deck quite nicely to make sure that you are accessing a lot of cards very quickly and being able to power up your Pokemon in a very easy fashion with Professor Sada. And the 4 Earthen Vessel, of course, fetch you the energies, allows you to discard them as well, along with Greninja, and allow you to Professor Sada into your Pokemon to make sure they are fully powered up. Now we have other ways to discard resources such as Ultra Ball, such as PokeStop, and even Superior Energy Retrieval, which is a pretty fantastic addition to a deck. Sometimes you need just energies in your hand, and Superior Energy Retrieval helps you get those extra discarded ancient cards into your discard pile. We also have 4 Ancient Booster Energy Capsule to maximize the HP of those Roaring Moons and Koraidons to make sure that they're doing as much damage as possible. And we even have a Penny to make sure that nothing is locked in the active that you don't want to, sometimes even healing a Pokemon that your opponent was trying to take down and they hadn't been able to yet. So Penny, a pretty interesting addition to the deck. Sometimes I wish that was a switching card, like a switch card or just a raw way to switch, but it definitely makes sense to have that available. And then finally we have Awakening Drum as the ACESPEC of choice. Goes really nicely with the deck. You get to draw extra cards for each of your ancient Pokemon in play, which you don't always want a full bench, because then those are Pokemon that you can't discard later on to increase the damage for Roaring Moon. But getting an extra 2, 3, or 4 cards during a turn without using a supporter can be game changing. So very nice inclusion, of course, there, and makes sense. I have seen some lists with Prime Catcher included, which also has merit, but I think 2 Counter Catcher and the copy of Possess Orders, or at least that has felt sufficient for now. So why don't we jump in some games and see how the deck works. Yeah, I'm sure you will all be in awe at how the deck works just as much as the thumbnail and how cool the Explorer was at seeing Roaring Moon and Koraidon in the wild. If you want to support the channel, you can use code tablemon to get 5% off at Pokestopp Store for your online codes, 10% off for your sealed product at Flipside Gaming, and 10% off on your aluminum accessories at TC Evolutions. Or if you're looking to buy singles or sleeves, you can fill up your cart and close the tab, then click on the affiliate link in the description and check out. That way you can support the channel over at TCG Player, Card Market, and Dragon Shield. ¿Eres de México y necesitas cartas de Pokémon? Busca Hyperbeam Cards en Facebook e Instagram. Y si estás en Tijuana, búscalos en el local C27 en el Centro Comercial Otay. Alright, so we lose a coin flip. Our opponent will decide whether we go first or second. We will actually go first. So we will see what they are playing now. Very bad hand here when going first. I have the Awakening Drum, but right now it's only drawing me a single card, and it seems like we're up against the mirror match. And yeah, not the best draw here. Applying pressure is going to be difficult. I feel like applying pressure for my opponent should also be pretty difficult, right? As they set up their Greninja and they start drawing cards. They fail the Nest Ball. They also miss the Pokegear. They choose to attach to the active, which is understandable. And then now we get to go Explorer's Guidance. We find another Roaring Moon potentially. I think that's gonna be my choice. I don't keep the energy though. I mean, I could Superior Energy Retrieval, but because I'm thinking of keeping the Professor Sada or the Supporter. I also kind of like the Earthen Vessel, like for the future, you know. I think I'm gonna keep the Earthen Vessel, and then I guess I'm drawing 2 cards. All right, so right now I'm doing 100. I need 4 more ancient cards to get a KO. So this gets me 2 more. So I have 2 more ancient cards in the discard pile right now. And then, yep, 120. Now I can bench and then go Awakening Drum to draw 2. And I get the Flutter Mane, which I can use to get to 140 damage, which seems worth it. Now, what do I discard? I kind of really like the Penny here, so I'm just going to discard the energy and get it back, and then we'll attach, and we will be able to do Vengeance Fletching for 140 damage and the KO. So I know there's the possibility to attack on turn 1, but I feel like the chance of that happening is low, to the point where going second is questionable in the mirror match. But hey, this is pretty cool. Yeah, I have knockout on this next Roaring Moon, no problem. And there we go. Yeah, simple as that. We win the mirror match. On to the next one. All right, so now we are starting off with Koraidon. We did mulligan, so our opponent gets an extra card here and there. They do choose to go first as well, so now we have a pretty decent start, honestly. They are Gardevoir, so if we could find Professor Sada here off of that Pokegear, that would be fantastic to just start applying pressure as soon as we can. As my opponent gets a pretty decent setup. Not bad, not bad. All right, and then yeah, useless starting Pokemon for them as well. Now the question here is, what do I discard for the Earthen Vessel? Definitely gonna establish the Greninja. Prized 1 Roaring Moon. Prized 1 Explorer's Guidance. I think a Pokegear and a Nest Ball. Prized 1 Darkness. Alright, so nothing too bad. I kinda think I can afford to discard the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule. That seems like the most expendable card. Support could be useful. And then Pokegear could also be useful. So I'm just gonna do this and just grab these friends, and then I'll have 1 of each energy discarded. And now this is a question that always comes up. Do I Pokegear first? Do I PokeStop first? In the grand scheme of things, I don't think it matters, because the chances are essentially the same, but the PokeStop could give you cards to further thin the deck. So I'm gonna choose PokeStop first. So I discard 3 cards, 2 pretty useful ones, but let's see if this hits. Wow, no, not even a single hit. So that's very awkward, not gonna lie, as now we have nothing. Dang. Now we actually have nothing to go for or account for at this point in time. I have 1 energy, I mean I have 2 cards I can draw off of Greninja. I can also PokeStop again, but PokeStop's not gonna get me a supporter. So that is the problem right here. Not getting this KO could be very problematic. Losing that other Roaring Moon is also less than ideal. As we see our Bravery Charm get discarded. I wonder what my opponent's plan is for this deck though. I really do. This Gardevoir EX, of course, is a 2-pricer and is weak to dark. I mean, I don't even threaten KO on the Manaphy at this point. Alright. I'm gonna go PokeStop, I guess. Okay, pretty good cards to get. This is tough though, because I really would like to get a KO. I also really would like more cards and supporters and everything. Definitely need to establish the Roaring Moon. There's still plenty of supporters and the Pokegears, energy as well, right? The Awakening Drum. If I get rid of this energy with Greninja, I think that's gonna be a big enough problem to where I would be in trouble. So I'm gonna choose to take the KO instead of drawing those 2 extra cards. I might come to regret this. Get a Roaring Moon off the prizes. So yeah, now my hand is officially completely dead. So now I rely on top decks 100%. We'll have to see what happens here. Not in the best spot, that's for sure. The opponent does know that I haven't played a supporter yet. So I have a good amount of top decks, right? I have 2 energies, 2 Vessel, 1 Awakening Drum, 4 Sada, 3 Explorers, and 2 Pokegear. So like 14-ish outs, almost half my deck, at least a third of my deck is a useful top deck. If I also don't top deck, it's not the end of the world. I do have a little bit of time, but not that much time. So we are going to see the Ultra Ball for the Gardy, I reckon. It would be nice if any of these Pokemon had like a 1 energy attack. I'm also pretty low on the energies though. There's 2 in play, 3 in the discard pile, 2 in the deck, 1 prized. I also had 2 good prizes I could potentially hit and I missed them. As we see the second Drifloon get played. Now, because they do rely on a 2-pricer, I will eventually be able to trade and catch up even if I fall behind, and that's the key. As long as my Roaring Moon can KO the Gardy EX, right? But we'll see. We shall see as we see the retreat into the knockout of my Koraidon. I'm just gonna have to promote Flutter Mane here, unfortunately. Not much else I can do about this. It is what it is, yeah. We have 1, 2, maybe 3 turns to top deck and still be in it, but it could definitely get dicey. And the issue is now, like, PokeStop is also a risk. It's always a risk, but it's now more a risk than ever before. The good thing is they don't have space for Screamtail, so my Roaring Moon is pretty safe. And that top deck is pretty fantastic. That allows me to see an extra 2 cards, allows me to get an energy attachment as well. So pretty happy with that. I'm weary of using PokeStop here. Dang it. Gosh darn it. I just cannot find a supporter to save my life. All right, I'm gonna discard supporters. No. What is going on? Generally, what is going on here? Oh boy. I think I'm gonna keep this energy available. Alright, so how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have more than enough to knock out everything now. So I just need to find 1 Professor Sada pretty much. That's what we're looking for. So I'm not overly concerned about having many more ancient cards. There they are, 4, 3, 9. 9 outs plus the Awakening Drum. That's 10 outs out of my 22 card deck, and I'm gonna draw 2 more. So yeah, I'm gonna need a series of back-to-back Sadas, so I'm not too concerned still, but it could be a problem. Like I cannot afford another whiff after this turn, pretty much, unless my opponent. I think my opponent's best course of action here would be to leave other stuff powered up already, right? That should be their goal, because then that allows them to not need Gardevoir EX as they choose to retreat for some reason. I mean, it frees up an energy, they're doing the same damage, so it's understandable. They are leaving 2 attackers ready to go in case I go after the Gardevoir EX. They really won't mind that, but knocking out the Gardevoir EX this upcoming turn with the counter catcher would be the dream. That would allow me to take the lead once again, and then as long as I can keep up the attackers, I should be fine, right? But we'll see. As they also choose to pre-power up, that leaves them with 2 energies available if they're playing the standard-ish 8. No, we got the Professor Turo as well. Okay, well, counter catcher strategy doesn't really matter. Alright. Alright. I need Sada here and now. Thank you. Thank you very much, top deck. Finally, I'm able to start drawing more cards. No supporter quite yet. Gonna thin. I don't have any energies left. So what I am going to do is Superrod back the moon and 2 energies. And then just get them into my hand. I'm getting rid of the Flutter Mane, so finally I'll be able to do something. They will eventually, like I said, need to establish the Gardevoir EX, and that's gotta be my goal. Find another Professor Sada, that's pretty nice. And we just take the KO here. I'm pretty sure. Vengeance Fletching for 400 damage, so in an ideal world for them, they only use single prize attackers from this point onwards, and then we can never catch up, but they have 1 Pokemon powered up that can knock out. So at some point, they will have to bench another Gardevoir EX, and that's the key thing here. Once they do, I should be able to eventually target it. They could be running 2 Professor Turo, they could have Pal Pad to recycle it, but hopefully... Wait, did they have... Oh, they have double Flutter Mane, interesting. Pretty cool to see. They get back the Drifloon, but as mentioned, in order for that Drifloon to actually be a threat, they need to get Gardevoir EX into play, and once they do, I'll be able to really punish that and get ahead myself, and then it'll be on me to have enough attackers to finish and establish the game. So there's the Gardevoir EX once again. And I do get Ionode, so that is also a problem right here. I didn't use PokeStop. All right, perfect. I do get the Professor Sada, that's very nice. The counter catcher did go to the bottom of the deck, but I'm not overly concerned about that, as I do have the Ultra Ball to shuffle the deck, so should be in a decent spot, at least for now. I have the guaranteed next attack. I will be able to shuffle my deck, I'll get 3 extra cards, looking for energies, looking for more Professor Sadas, and also looking for more, looking for the counter catcher and ghosting capabilities to take down that Gardevoir EX. So as long as I can barely keep up, yeah, you can let go of 1 turn and then eventually target the Gardevoir EX to turn this around. So my opponent does get the KO, which is, as mentioned, perfectly fine. There's very few cards I would top deck that I wouldn't want to discard at this point. Penny is a perfect discard for me. And then this will shuffle the deck, which is great. And I will be able to use Professor Sada to power up these two friends. Like, the play my opponent has to try to make me whiff a turn is to bring up the Koraidon and use the Screamtail. That is a play that they have in order to try. It's not guaranteed by any means. They could also bring up the Roaring Moon, right? But all good. I'm just gonna bench it in case I get Iono'd. It's one less card that's in there going around and around. We get our 2 prizes. We are now back in the lead. Although we don't have a guaranteed KO, now we do, thanks to the prize card. So the question is, you have to assume my opponent's gonna Iono me, right? That's another way my opponent can make me whiff, for sure. However, my deck is now quite a bit smaller, and there's 2 Professor Sada still left. There's, I think, at least 1 energy, maybe 2 in there as well. Maybe playing the Supra to put back energies this turn would have been worth it, perhaps. Maybe that's something I should have done, making the Iono even less enticeful for them as well. And like I said, they don't need to power up anything right now, but they do need to make something happen. And by something, I mean they need to make me whiff at turn to attack in order for them to come back, right? And that means they need to attack with Screamtail. So there's the Iono, as predicted. I get Superior Energy Retrieval. That is fantastic. That will allow me not only to draw cards with Greninja, but also get energy from the discard pile. So we'll see. Yeah, we shall see. Getting that last attacker powered up could be problematic. There's the Screamtail. However, my opponent, I'm guessing they have the Counter Catcher this turn, and that would be a big problem. They're gonna go Counter Catcher, either Moon or Koraidon, and then target down this Roaring Moon on the bench. That's what I'm expecting them to do, right? Yep, there's a Counter Catcher. They bring up the Moon. I feel like Koraidon would be a better choice just in case, because like Koraidon needs a specific energy, right? All right, so they did what they needed to do. Now they do have 8 energy in play at this point in time. So me top decking the Professor Sada is actually insane, but I had an alternate win condition where if they ended up not doing anything else, right? Because their energies are all in play pretty much, or they might have one more. I could eventually Boss's Orders and bring up the Gardevoir EX, and they might not be able to retreat it, right? That's like the one thing that could happen here that I could do in order to, get back into this, just in case something happened. Is the Explorer's Guidance better than Pokegear? Yeah, it probably is. So we're gonna get all the energies back, which is nice. And then we are going to draw a couple extra cards. Don't discard the Darkness, right? Because I need that to attack with. I'll go ahead and attach, and then in case of an Iono, because my opponent could try the same play, Professor Sada or Penny. I think both of those are actually quite good here. And we get the KO. So my opponent cannot take 2 prizes. There's no humanly possible way for them to take 2 prizes. I have 2 attackers powered up. So they need to go Counter Catcher Screamtail again with an Iono to 1. And that's why I put both the Penny and the Sada back. If they attack the Koraidon, or if they bring up the Koraidon, I can Penny it up, right? And like I said, I also have the possibility to go Boss under Gardevoir in case they do the same thing of power up Screamtail with all the energies. and they might not be able to retreat, as the standard for energies is between 8 or 9. They do find Suprod, so I think they're gonna try and do the same play, right? It would only make sense, and I think that's their best course of action here, right? Screamtail plus energy, now back, 3 energy in the discard pile. I guess they do need all 4, because, but then why put it back? They do need all 4, because otherwise they're doing 120, and 120 doesn't KO anything. Hero's Cave now gone as well. There's the Screamtail. They have the Counter Catcher, yep. And Iono as their last card. Alright, so pushing this to the limit. However, I'm able to find the Professor Sada. I'm not out of the woods yet though, but the Professor Sada definitely gives me a fighting chance. They will be able to use Screamtail, and so it will all come down to the next 4 cards in my deck, and I need an energy in those 4 cards. I think I might only have, oh no, I should have 3 energy left in the deck, so not too bad, right? Not too bad. Okay, they go after Greninja, which Greninja stops me from seeing extra cards, which I like that from them. However, the 2 cards I get are exactly the 2 cards I need, and I can just take a knockout with the Koraidon. So lucky, sure, right? I also had the boss possibility onto the Gardevoir just in case. So definitely decent amount of options, I feel. The deck's pretty nice. I also think I ran into this issue because in the beginning I was running under odds in terms of just finding a supporter, right? I didn't need Sada immediately, but I needed Explorer's Guidance to just look through more cards of my deck each turn and be able to get closer to the Sadas or keep Sadas in my hand. So definitely something to note. Pretty close game though, for sure, but in the end we were able to prevail. So yeah, let's jump into another one. All right, so we have Flutter Mane as our starter, no complaints there. We have a supporter as well, really nice. And we get to stop Ditto's transformative start thanks to our ability. So already feel like I'm a little bit ahead with this. We're up against Chien-Pao, which I feel like is overall a pretty good matchup for Ancient Box. Now my opponent has a Ditto stock in the active for the foreseeable future. So let's go ahead and establish the Greninja. We prized a Roaring Moon. Interesting and important to note. No supporters prized, that's pretty fantastic. 1 Vessel. And yep, that's what I feared. We prized 2 energies, which could be pretty important. 1 PokeStop, not a big deal. Yeah, so far, so good. Now, this Nest Ball, I kind of like it after the Explorer. I also like it before. I'm going to establish a Koraidon. So it was married to using the Explorer Guide and see what you found, but like you're only keeping 2 cards, so it's not that great. Okay, definitely think these 2 are important. However, maybe the Professor Sada is actually more important at this point in time. The Awakening Drum is pretty cool, however. So let's go ahead and conceal the cards. I don't need to attack this turn. It would be nice, and that's a beautiful card to get. Now I can easily bench this, and then I can Awakening Drum. This is also one of the decks that you can probably, or where you don't need to really fear your opponent using Iono every turn or every other turn compared to the previous game. So looking quite good, honestly. Flutter Mane in the active is cute, and then you have attachment for turn so that we can retreat, no problem. Yeah, so far so good. Yeah, pretty good start right here. So now it's on my opponent to try to do something. I do have 2 targets for their potential Iron Hands with Flutter Mane and Radiant Greninja. So both of those could be a problem and allow my opponent to catch up, especially if I'm not able to take down the Iron Hands immediately. However, that deck, once again, it has Prime Catcher, but it shouldn't have too many costing effects. So that's going to be quite crucial. Something I could do is, if the Flutter Mane ends up surviving, I could Booster Capsule the Flutter Mane to take away that option. Alright. But no, we just see a pass, so it's actually initiative for us this time around. We're gonna go ahead and attach our energies, make sure I have the retreat cost ready to go. I also have energy for turn, which is pretty fantastic. So yeah, honestly looking pretty good here. Kind of want to both draw extra cards, but I feel like having the attachment is just more important at this stage. Now, I can't imagine being like doing too much more damage with Koraidon. 1, 2, 3, 4, only 5 cards, 6, 7. That would be 140. So I still need quite a few cards in the discard pile if I want to get close to a one shot on the Chien-Pao. I also really would like more Roaring Moons, but for now, leading with the damage from Koraidon is perfectly fine. Earthen Vessel, a very welcome card, gets me another ancient card, potentially more if I choose to discard, as well as energies for Greninja to draw extra cards. So overall, in a pretty good spot. And getting 8 ancient cards into my discard pile next turn sounds pretty difficult, but not necessarily impossible. Alright, as we see the rare candy back Excalibur. By going ahead, now my counter catcher is definitely not going to be useful. To the third attachment onto a Chien-Pao. I also kind of like the Ancient Booster Capsule onto the Flutter Mane as well, potentially. As we see the Iron Bundle. Okay, I don't mind that. Feel free to Hellblade my Flutter Mane. It's one less card in the not in the lost zone, jeez. In the discard pile, one less ancient card, but this is completely fine. I do not mind that at all. So I'm just gonna promote the Koraidon again. Like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Getting 9 cards now sounds pretty difficult, not gonna lie. But we're gonna start with the Explorer's Guidance. Definitely want to keep the Professor Sada, and then I kind of feel the Suprod. That's 2 more. Could honestly keep Pal Pad and Suprod, and that might be better because I do have a Sada already. So how many was that now? It's horrible that I can't easily count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 170 so far. This is 180, and I do have 4 more 4 more cards, right, in my hand that I can potentially discard. Actually, I have 3. Now I have 4. And I think I should. I honestly think I should. I'm gonna discard these 2. And then I'm gonna grab a Flutter Mane. And then I'm gonna discard the Tool and the Flutter Mane and grab another Roaring Moon. I'm not gonna play the Pal Pad yet. I've definitely made that mistake before. I didn't know if I was gonna be able to do this, but yep, 220, perfect numbers. Bench this. Now there is a possibility that my opponent ends up successfully attacking me. So I'm gonna go ahead and super back just energies so I don't mess up. And just 2 energies, so I don't mess up my maths. But we're gonna go What's the name of the attack? Vengeance Fletching. It's just in Spanish, it's such a funny name. Venganza Emplumada, which is like feathered vengeance instead of vengeance fletching. But yeah, really good start. I don't know why my opponent used the Iron Bundle there instead of just knocking out my Koraidon. Made it a little bit more difficult for me to do what I did, but that's completely fine. Not a big deal at all. We are so far ahead at this point. As we see another Chien-Pao possibly taking down their Roaring Moon. That's completely okay. I would love to have another Roaring Moon on the bench so I could get the maximum value from Professor Sada's right here, but attaching an energy to a Koraidon is also not, like, there's nothing wrong with that. As we see, my opponent is doing a lot of things, but clearly now they know I have enough to take down another Chien-Pao, and Chien-Pao is the only way they can take down my Roaring Moon. So I really liked how I sequenced the Ultra Balls there. I was able to keep the Professor Sada in my hand, and that allows me to have the guaranteed follow-up attack, especially now that the Irida has been played. And that's the sort of thing that if you know how many or what to expect from your opponent in terms of hand disruption, right? And they could always surprise you, right? But if you can make calculated risks or educated guesses on what they could be doing or how they could be affecting you during their turn, then you can most certainly get away with being a little greedy in some situations by keeping some cards in your hand, not playing them, or not using them to have them readily available for next turn because you probably know they're not going to attack your hand. Such as if you're playing against Ancient Box. Ancient Box has no way or very few ways usually to disrupt your hand. So if you want to take advantage of that, you certainly can. But anyways, that'll be all for this deck. Hope you enjoyed, hope you liked the thumbnail. Keep that support coming, I really appreciate it. I can feel the momentum building in the channel, especially with the consistent uploads. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.